Hey, Craig. Hey, Kelley. You know this song? I bet you've never heard it in your lifetime. Just a good old boy, never meaning no harm. Beats all you never saw. Been in trouble with the laws since the day they were born. Yeehaw! How y'all doing?
Of course, it could only be Byron Cherry, Coy Duke from the Dukes of Hazzard. Of course, the world knows that song, the wonderful music magic of Waylon Jennings. Did you ever get to meet Waylon in your life?
But yeah, he was very nice. He came by just to meet myself and Christopher Mayer back in the day. That was
Yeah.
1983, I think.
Come to the Dukes
Yeah.
of Hazzard very shortly. But going right back to the beginning for you, because you are a bona fide Southern boy born in Georgia. Is this right? You're at the University of Tennessee, a budding football star, but also looking to become an actor.
True. Yeah. Yeah. I went to ETSU, East Tennessee State University in Johnson City, Tennessee. And my brother was played fullback. I was running back. And I didn't get to play a whole lot. Me and the head coach didn't, see eye to eye. We just didn't, we didn't get along real good.
Mhm.
So I was always, being a good old boy, I was always in trouble in college. And literally, I was a clown on campus, and I was always doing practical jokes. And I actually streaked across campus one time. Streaked back in the day when streaking was done. I swore it wasn't me, but it was me. But the next day, in the local newspaper, there's a picture of me streaking across campus with my clothes and tennis shoes tucked under my arm. So guilty, so guilty. I'm glad that picture. I think it went away. I think.
Now, you were spotted by a casting agent who put you in a TV commercial and you had to kiss a beautiful blonde.
Yeah, it was for Six Flags over Georgia. After playing football at ETSU, I went back to Atlanta, Georgia, and I was in an audition class, and I was heading to class, and I see this really pretty girl,
Yeah.
and she points at me and goes, "Hey, you, come here." And I went, "Oh, me? What? Me?" Anyway, she goes, "How would you like to audition for a commercial?" And I went, "Well, I'm going to class right now, but." She goes, "I need you to go now, like right now. Go to this audition. Here's the address." Handed it to me. And I said, "What do I do? What do I do? I mean, I'm not good at this sort of thing." And it was literally my first audition. She goes, "Well, you're going to go in this room, sign in, and you're going to go in there." And I met the girl, beautiful blonde, big blue eyes. And you're going to sit next to her, put your arm around her, and they're going to say action. Now, what you got to do is just lean over and kiss her. And I went, "That's it? Are they going to pay me for that?" So about 10 takes later, 10 kisses later, they said, "Okay, it's time to, okay, next." So I'm like, there's no way I'm getting that part. That I was terrible. I'm a terrible kisser. She was terrible. And so I get home, the phone rings. It's Linda, the agent. "You got the part. You got it." I think I hung up on her. I said, "Ain't no way." But I did. So we went right into filming. It's like a 3-day shoot. And I think I only got that. I probably had to kiss her another 30 to 40 times. So,
Yeah.
but then I get this big check in the mail because it was a regional commercial, which was, you have residuals coming in. So after you're done filming, 2 or 3 months, and the thing starts airing, you start getting checks in the mail. So I'm like, I really like this business.
And then you spool forward, Byron, to the late 70s, and the casting call is on for a new show called The Dukes of Hazzard. And you're in line to be playing the Bo Duke role, but you're in Florida because you'd signed on board to become an airline attendant.
That was me.
And there's an outrageous story about how John Schneider landed that role. Essentially, he kind of gate crashed it. Walk me through how that played out.
John and I knew each other. We had the same agent. So me, John Schneider, Sonny Schroyer played Enos on the show, great friend
Yeah.
of mine. And then Ben Jones, Cooter. We
Yeah.
were all in the same acting workshop. So when the audition Dukes of Hazzard came up, the agent called all of us, but they didn't call John Schneider because Schneider was 18 and they didn't want to see him. But anyway, so I got oh, we want to see this guy. Schneider got he was in the no pile. No, they didn't want to see him.
Because he
So
was too young, wasn't he? That was the thing. He was too
he was
young.
too young. I said, "So when's my audition?" "Oh, next Wednesday." And I started thinking about it. I go, "Oh my God, Wednesday morning, I fly to Miami, Florida to train for 7 weeks to be a flight attendant." I'm like, how's this going to work out? So anyway, they did come. I flew out. They flew in. So, and then it's funny because Schneider, you know, I'm not kidding. Every audition I had, Schneider was there, and I usually got the part. I don't know why, but they usually pick me. And Schneider goes, I am getting Dukes of Hazzard. You are not going to be here. You're going to be in Florida. And I said, John, how are you going to do that? How are you going to get that part when you're just plumb ugly, boy? They don't want to see you. No. Linda, the agent, said, Byron, they really want to see you. They're going to probably fly to, they're not going to like these other guys. So they're probably going to fly to Miami to see you. And I went, okay, I'll just wait. You know, 3 days go by. I call Linda. Yeah, so when are they coming? Oh, Byron, John's, you know, John, he's in Hollywood. I said, John, John, who? John Schneider, your buddy. I went, well, why is he in Hollywood? Oh, he's doing a screen test with Warner Brothers for Dukes of Hazzard. I went, bull crap, you're lying. So he found out the timing for the auditions. He didn't shave for a week. He had it all planned, you know, 18 years old. He stole or borrowed a 6-pack of beer. He walks in holding it, walks in, crashes the audition, cracks the beer open, throws a 6-pack on the table. Warner Brothers castings right here. There's 6, 8 people in there, I'm sure. He slams open a beer, slams it, throws the other 5 beers down, says, hey, I want one. I'm Bo Duke. You know, I'm Bo Duke, just like that. And boom. That next day I was on a plane to California, Hollywood for a screen test. Never came home. Sometimes you got to get a little risky. I'm telling you, it's a hard business and it's a lot of luck involved. So he did what he should have done. I probably wouldn't have done that.
If he didn't have that chutzpah to kind of fib about his age, could you have been Beauregard Duke?
Oh, I think absolutely 100%. Just I don't know why. But you know, things it really doesn't bother me. But 4 years later, Schneider called me and said, Byron, I recommended you we're leaving the show, and I threw your name out there saying Byron Cherry is the only guy that can take my part. They can fill Bo Duke's shoes. I said, you really did that, Warner Brother? And he goes, yeah.
It was John and Tom Wopat who quit. It was at the end of season 4, and it was over some kind of merchandising dispute or contract issues or something like that. And
merchandise.
So it was a case of enter Bo's cousin Coy and Christopher Mayer's Vance Duke, who were the replacements for Bo and Luke Duke.
They totally just walked off the set. Matter of fact, Roscoe P. Coltrane, you know, James, great guy, James Best. He walked off for a short time. He said, I won't come back unless I can have a dog. That's where Flash came in. Flash, the dog, had his own contract. And that dog made a lot of money. But things work out the way they do. And I mean, it was just miraculous, a miracle that we all worked together on that show, even though I got 1 year on it.
The thing is, there's just so much love for that show all these years on. But with regard to you and Christopher, it was kind of like a poison chalice simply because John and Tom were so entrenched in viewers' minds, so loved, that it was difficult for anybody to have made that transition. But hey, Byron, 19 episodes, and you did a stunning job, and yet you got to drive the General Lee in a kind of more wild fashion than even John did.
I like the car so much, I got 2 right now. I got one in my right out here. It's a 2010. I just got it 2 days ago. I had it shipped from Alabama.
Is this right? There are around about 300 of those Charger cars, because those stunts, when the thing went up and came crashing down, it kind of ruined the car. I mean, that was all real, wasn't it?
Good friend of mine was Tom Tremento. He was the chief engineer mechanic. So every time a car jumped and crashed, the car would go to him and his crew, and most of them were buried. They would just go to the junkyard, a lot of them. But a lot of them weren't that bad. So they'd rebuild them, and you'd see that same car, you know, three episodes later, it'd be driving again or flying through the air, you know, woohoo. There was only 17 survivors left that are in the world that original from the show. So a lot of these kids build, like mine are replicas. I have a 69 Charger and it went on the show. And Warner Brothers put a little metal thing, embedded it right over there next to the steering wheel in the metal. So if you don't have that, your cars, some of these guys say, oh, I'm trying to get more money. This car was on the show and it's original. and that's a bunch of crap is what it is.
It's just amazing how that show lives on. It really is so loved all over the world. And Byron, it was truly like a family, wasn't it, working on that show? Everybody just seemed to get on and gel so beautifully. I mean, for instance, you know, one of the first people you saw when you walked on the set was Catherine Bach, who, of course, loved forever as Daisy Duke. What was Catherine like? Was she absolutely gorgeous up close and personal?
I won't ever forget this, but when they sent me out for the screen test, because I did my goofy audition for Dukes,
Yeah.
and the phone rings again, and Byron, you're going to Hollywood for screen tests, and sure enough, the next day I was out there. So we were driving. Schneider picked me up in a brand new Lamborghini, by the way, when I
Yeah.
came out for my screen test. About 2 or 3 days later, they put us all in a hotel. I mean, hundreds of Coy and Vance Duke lookalikes.
Yeah.
Everywhere I looked, there was a blonde-haired, blue-eyed guy that looked just like me.
And a
I mean,
dark-haired guy looking like Christopher.
so anyway, they load us up in a big van, a bus, and take us out to Valencia, California. It's north of Warner Brothers, about a half hour. And so we're driving up this old dirt road. I'm looking, and I go, "Holy cow! Who is that girl's beautiful? The short jeans, the tight jeans." Now I'm single now, right? And I went, "Hey, who is that?" Oh, and I get closer. She's about that big, and she gets that big. And now all of a sudden, next thing you know, she's hugging me and comes over and goes, "Coy, you're gonna get the part." Gives me a hug and a little kiss right here. And I'm going, "Well, we have to be cousins?" I don't want to be your cousin. I want to be your boyfriend.
Of course you do. You're only
Yeah.
natural. You're only human, naturally.
Yeah. So we went right into, I was first, and the scene was with me, Daisy Duke, and Christopher Mayer. And then we had like a 3-page scene that we stuck with that. I was there 3 weeks auditioning. Warner Brothers calls me, "Byron, come on in. We need to see you." I thought they were giving me the little, my one-way ticket back home.
Mhm.
And they go, "Sit down." They're all, like CBS, Warner Brothers, 18, 20 people around this giant table, smoking cigars at 8 in the morning, smelly room. I don't smoke, so it's awful. And I'm like, "Yeah, what can I do for you? Can I go home now?" And because I know I didn't get the part, I'm goofing off with these guys because I'm frustrated. Everybody knows that I'm on the show, but me. Like, I go through Warner Brothers in the morning to audition the gate, and the security guard goes, "Hey, you're Byron, aren't you? The new guy, the new star on Dukes of Hazzard. You're playing Coy Duke, right?" They're like telling me I got the role. I'm going, "I don't have a role. I don't know what you're talking about." So anyway, they sat me down and said, "Who do you want to work with, Byron?" I went, "You guys are the producers, Paul Picard, and the writers, and these big with Warner Brothers, and you're asking me who I want to work with." I go, "Well, I don't remember. I only remember one guy on the 3 weeks of my auditions. I read literally with hundreds of people, and that's Chris Mayer." They were in shock. I swear they sat back and went, "What? You're friends? You guys are actually friends?" I went, "Yeah." And he goes, "Gotta go. Go home. We'll talk to you later. Bye." So I show up at 8 in the morning. I walk in there, and they're smoking, same guys, sunglasses, just strange, very stern, very serious. But they had about 20. This is iced tea, but they had about 20 bottles of champagne on the table. And I went, "Hey, you guys drink early. Why do you guys drink so early? You're a bunch of alcoholics." And I swear, I was in their face. I didn't care anymore. So I'm joking with them though. And they go, "Oh no, the champagne's for you." And I went, I can't drink all that by myself. What are you talking about?" I hear this little crack in the door. They had it all planned from when I said Chris Mayer and I are great friends. We're working on. They planned it that night that they'd get me in, hide him in the closet. So also this guy gets me in a headlock going, "Oh," I'm going, "What the heck?" I look up. He picks me up. He's a big guy. He's the size of Schneider. Big arms. And he goes, "Hi, Coy. Vance Duke here. We start production on Monday morning."
And in what an absolutely incredible story. So that's how you and Chris.
Yeah, that's how he got on the show. And then I didn't tell him that story till about episode 10 or 11. We started talking about stuff, and then, oh, one more thing, you'll love this. So I think it was the second week, you go to the office and pick up your check, right? And you got overtime and stuff on all this cool little extra monies on there. And I'm like, hey, how much should we get in overtime? I'm looking at his check, he's looking at mine. His check was twice what mine was. I won't say what mine was, but twice. I went, do you know how you got this job? Are you kidding me? So, I mean,
Now, cheeky question here. You obviously saw Catherine and you thought, wow, here's the girl of my dreams. And it was very clear there was some kind of spark. You didn't just between us, did you have any kind of brief romance?
no, I get that all the time. I mean, people go, oh, come on, I know y'all dated. We did go out. We would go out and have margaritas together. We kept it as like cousins, like we're a professional thing. And
At Denver Pyle, of course, as Jesse Duke. Is this true? He owned oil wells and was hugely wealthy outside of showbiz.
I didn't know a lot about that, but he was. I know he did. He had a beautiful giant yacht. I know I never got invited there, but Schneider told me some stories. But Denver was a blessing. He was just so sweet and wonderful, and so he would offer advice, and his advice was always nice. It was like right on. I try my scene my way, and then I do it his way. They always use his way. Try the dialogue this way, try it that way. So he was always, and it was just such a sweet man. He'd come over and ask me if I want a cup of coffee in the morning at 5 a.m. when you're out there freezing, rattlesnakes, they're running around. Well, they don't run, they crawl.
James Best, of course, loved as the sheriff. He's also gone. What was he like to work with?
Very nice, very welcoming. A lot of people think, oh, you guys came on the show and, you weren't welcome. And we were absolutely 100% welcome. And he loved to fish. I never got to go fishing with him, but yeah, he loved to fish. So did Boss Hogg and Enos. Enos now, he fishes like every day. He lives in Valdosta, Georgia. I talked to him. He called me on my 70th birthday out of the blue and wished me a happy birthday. I couldn't believe it.
Sorrel Book,
Stunning.
of course, as Boss Hogg. Is this true, Byron? Because you know all the secrets. He wore padding to make him look a little portlier than he really was.
Yeah, but he wore that big. Absolutely, he took it off one day, and I'm just looking. I looked at him, and he stood up and went, "Oh my God, you're skinny! What? Where'd all the fat go?" It is total cushion foam. Even the thing was so tight up on his neck, it made him have that big. He did not have that when he took that suit off. He was a skinny little man, and I'm short, but he's really short. He came about here on me, and but wow, he was funny. I used to try to watch him and Roscoe do they ad-libbed a lot, but I used to try to sit in there and learn from them. I learned a lot from them, but I like to watch them in action. They don't mind that. But the only thing is, they'd get me laughing, and they'd ask me to leave. You got to, Byron, go to the green room. It's like timeout, Byron. You got to go timeout.
And of course, you got to work with John and Tom, didn't you? Because when they came back on the show in the following season, of course, you and Christopher were there as Coy and Vance to kind of have that transition take place.
Yeah, that was Welcome Back, Bo and Luke.
Yeah.
And then Snyder, now once again, Snyder, I stayed in touch the whole time. Tom was very, at the time now, he's gotten much better, Luke did. But he was very, very cold, I'd say if anybody didn't welcome us, it was Tom Wopat. He just didn't welcome us. He did not like us. Matter of fact, Chris Mayer and him, when they did Welcome Back, Bone Luke, Tom Wopat would, I'm a very friendly Southern boy. I'm like, hey, nice to meet you, man. He walked right back, wouldn't shake my hand. He wouldn't shake Christopher Mayer's hand. I mean, it got serious. But Tom had this thing. He didn't. They were the one and only Duke boys, and I guess we weren't welcome by him. But so anyway, yeah, we did Welcome Back, Bone Luke, and we're off the show by the first commercial. He wrote us out. I think our relationship, me and Snyder's, blew Tom Wopat. Just didn't get it, didn't understand. It's like, and then Snyder said, "Hey, Byron, I've known each other before Dukes of Hazzard. We go way back, And so he, but Snyder was awesome, and he was very, very cool, very were very good on the set. But that's how that worked out. But Tom, I'll be with him in a couple of weeks in Blue Ray, Virginia. And I mean, now I see him, we hug each other.
Yes.
He's awesome.
You and Christopher Mayer became very close. And I read this story, Byron, that your son, Byron Cherry Jr., he died in a car crash and was only 20. And the first person you called was Christopher.
Yeah, he was my first son, Byron Cherry, just like me. And he driving by himself. Well, thank God, because he has a brother, and his brother Chris was supposed to go with him that weekend back to college. He went to Appalachian State, and somehow he was following his friends, and he tried to pass a big old 18-wheeler, and somehow he ended up getting pushed off the road into a tree, and that killed him. And his friends, imagine that, his best friends in college went back and found him. He was down off a cliff. And anyway, that was terrible. But yeah, so if you ever lost anybody, you don't know what to do. It's very hard. So I called Chris Mayer. I didn't call my wife. I didn't call my brother. I called Chris Mayer, and I said, crying. I didn't get a word in he didn't know I was just crying. And so I finally got where I could talk, and I said, B, I called him B. B just died, and what do I do? And because you got crazy stuff going in your head. I mean, it's crazy. So he calmed me down. He actually got in his car and drove and hung out with me, stayed with me. And yeah, he actually got me through it, I think.
How did you tell your two younger kids that their big brother was gone? I mean, how do you do something like that?
His little brother, Chris, who lives in Raleigh-Durham, North Carolina, now, 3 kids. I'm a grandpa 3 times. But he called me. He was 15 or 16 at the time, and he broke the news to me. And yeah, I got on a plane the next day and I flew there, and I had to go through. You do what you got to do. It's hard.
Just
I got remarried now. I have Wesley is 24. I had to think about it. I have a daughter at San Francisco State College. She's 18, soon to be 19, coming up next week. So yeah, and they never got to meet him, and they were supposed to meet, and he died right before we were gonna fly out here. We are gonna fly there, and but my son Byron that died wrote Christopher, my now son 24, wrote him a little note and sent him a little Teddy guy thing. He still has it to this day. That's special. That is special.
And then, of course, on top of that, Byron, your great buddy, that guy that you lent upon when your son died, Christopher, he passed away back in 2011. So young, too. What happened? What happened to Christopher Mayer?
I didn't see him for like 8 years, and I couldn't find him. And then I get a phone call from a show in Burbank. So it's meet and greet, and you just sign autographs for 2 days. I went to pick up Chris, and this guy walks up to the car, and I'm talking to him. Yeah, I'm here to pick up Chris Mayer. Do you know him? Is he supposed to live in this apartment? It was Chris Mayer. I didn't recognize him. He was so out of shape, bald head. I saw those big blue eyes. He had a big gut on him. I mean, he was the most in shape guy I ever met in my life. And then 8 years go by, I didn't recognize him. He ended up he quit the business. He said, I'm just done with this whole Hollywood thing. And I think it might have been some drugs and alcohol. I think that's the truth. So anyway, and he died in his sleep though. He went naturally. I think that's what he wanted.
Do you find him like an angel on your shoulder sometimes?
I think so. Yeah, I get chills when I think about that. And plus I have pictures of him all over downstairs, with me and him and Daisy and just the cast, and he's like looking right at me, like I'm watching you. I'm very spiritual, and I kind of, I have my angels, and everybody does. And they talk to me, and I see them I see angels on people sometimes, and they have names, and I go, you got angels around you right now? And she goes, they think you're crazy. So you have to be careful. But I see them sometimes. It depends on the person. And I say, yeah, you've got 6 in there, and they're right there. But they don't see them. They can look in the mirror. They don't see them. I see them. different colors and fuzzy and white, and they're different, and it's mostly just a ghostly thing, but very powerful. And then,
Yeah.
but Chris, I feel his warmth. I would say I feel like you're like he's with me. You know, he's just with me because he's like uh, my brother. You know, he's like my brother.
After your run on the Dukes of Hazzard finished, it was not by any means the end of Coy Duke, was it? Because you lived on in a cartoon version called The Dukes, which must have been great fun to do.
Yeah, you just go to Hanna-Barbera after you've been filming all day, then you go right there, and you can knock out an episode in about 3 hours, and you sit in a room just like you're recording a song. And I had Boss Hog over here, Daisy over here, Chris Mayer over here, all in a little semicircle. And you got a script there, and you just basically read through it, but you got to put your emotion into it, and it's so easy because you mess up a line, they'll go, boom, go right in, say it again, just keep going, keep going. Yeah, that was fun. Cartoons, and they were cute. They were Saturday morning.
After Dukes of Hazzard, you did the rounds of the big TV shows of the day because I think you were under contract, weren't you, to Warner Brothers? So you did things like Murder, She Wrote with the wonderful Angela Lansbury. How did you
Yeah,
find Dame Angela Lansbury? I mean, she's just one of the most great, or was one of the most gracious people to work with, wasn't she?
yeah, she was a sweetheart. She was just very professional, but so sweet. She seemed kind of girl who would just come over and lady and say, "Hey, Byron, can I get you a cup of coffee or a donut or something?" I
Mm.
mean, I was really hoping and praying they'd write me on the show just so I could hang out with her more. But the phone never rang. So I did that one episode, and then I got to meet her and some wonderful people.
And of course, you got to work on the great In the Heat of the Night, Carol O'Connor's fabulous show, but you didn't get to work with Carol because he was undergoing some medical procedure. Is that right?
He was having a triple bypass surgery. Yeah, I worked with everybody else, his son and everybody. And the opening scene, if you haven't seen that one, forgot the name of the episode. We can look it up. This guy got me kissing a girl again. I don't know what's up with that. He's got me kissing another girl.
Now, tell me
No, but
your
it was
thoughts on this because back in, what was it, 2005, there was the Dukes of Hazzard movie with Johnny Knoxville and Sean William Scott. Now, you could have appeared in that. Why wasn't Coy Duke somewhere in that storyline? It would have been very easy to have written you in there.
or Snyder or
Or Snyder, that's
Daisy
right.
Duke or Tom Wopat, or they didn't put one. As far as I remember, they didn't put one of us in there, did they? I don't think
No,
one cast member from the
no.
original show. Literally, I watched half that movie and I turned it off. It was all about sex and drugs and cussing and I love the character. I love like Burt Reynolds and some of them in there. They were awesome. But I think it was just all about uh, money. They tried to ruin a good thing. Friday night, our show, the original series. I didn't like the language, and the cast members, the original cast members, like all of us, we did not like that at all. And I would have done a part if they called me and said, "Hey, you want to be the gas station attendant or something?" I would have done it.
The show ended, the original Dukes of Hazzard, back in 1985. So that's now 40 years. Here we are, 2025. Do you think there's any chance of a genuine, bona fide Dukes of Hazzard reunion? Would all you guys, the ones that are still alive, be up for something like that? Have you chatted to John Schneider about it?
I think Snyder has actually tried to get the rights from Warner Brothers, and they kind of laughed at him. Um, Probably unaffordable, who knows? But he did try. And it's funny you ask that question because I'm working on they just finished a script called
Mm-hmm.
Whiskey Wheels, and it's a new version of a General Lee, a purple car, not orange.
Ah.
But the script has been written. It's in some investors' hands, but I'm basically going to play Byron Cherry, Coy Duke. I'm going to play myself as I am now with Grandpa. This is what I'm going through, but they're going to have a young me back in the day, and then it's going to cut to the way I am now. Exactly. I've got kids, I've got grandkids, I've got a wife. How do you deal with all this? But it's going to be a family show. It's a total Dukes. No cursing, and we probably will have we probably will be running some moonshine, I'm pretty sure.
Well, let's face it, the moonshine was kind of the heart and the soul of the show. It's kind of how it came about in the first place. How's John doing, as in Schneider? I mean, we know he went through the heartache of his wife, Alicia, passing away, but then
Yeah.
wound up falling in love again with Dee Dee Savino.
No, Snyder's doing very well. He's probably out every weekend singing or something. Him and Dee Dee are doing John Schneider events, you know.
So tell me about the Byron Cherry of now. What other projects have you got on the brew that you're allowed to talk about?
Well, I just finished a movie actually about 2 years ago, but it just came together, called Redemption Salvage Yard Shine Boys.
Yes.
And it's about a beat up family that runs moonshine, back to moonshine.
Yeah.
And it's a faith-based movie. The director was my friend Chris Hensel, and his daughter was Ashley, was pretty much the star of that. But I played Deputy Bubba, so I was kind of like the humor in the whole. It was very not much funny stuff in it until I came along. So I try to lighten it up and make my character funny, like Barney Fife. Think about Barney Fife. I was always tripping and saying stupid stuff and falling down, and I run over trash cans, and I kind of made that character. They had me serious, like a serious guy. So, but it's called Redemption Salvage Yard Shine Boys. They got a comedy coming out. It's called Cody and Roy. I call myself Roy instead of Coy. I'm Roy now. Think about the Three Stooges chase Sasquatch. Yeah, I'd hate to say it, but it's funny.
Well, I got to say, Byron Cherry, you've got the most fabulous energy. Now, if fans want to find you, they can find you on Facebook. If any fans want to get in touch outside of Facebook and so forth, how can they do that?
So they can email me, and I check it several times a day, and that's how you can purchase. Talk to me first of all, say how you doing, and I actually talk to people, and then I got tons of photos. People love, cast members, whatever. I got Bo and Luke pictures. So, and I sign everything that goes out of my house, my office. I sign it. I do charge. I charge what I charge at a show we do. For 8x10 signature. So yeah, you can get in touch with me that way, and I'll get back to you. And I've got little die-cast cards that I sign. Generalese, the generalese, and I've got Boy and Van Stoop lunch boxes. I got a lot of stuff.
Oh, Byron, you're an absolute treasure. You're a joy, and you got such a great energy. You know what? I think we should go out on that song again. Just a good old boy.
Never meaning no harm. These all you never saw. Been in trouble with the law the day they were born.
You're fabulous.
That was fun.
Bye.
Yeehaw!
If you like that interview, and we've got loads more coming, you know what you can do to stay constantly up to date. You hit that subscribe button, hit the like button too, because it's lovely to be liked or loved. And I look forward to seeing you for another celebrity drop any tick of the old clock. Un momento. I'll catch you then, and with bells on. Bye.